call the Plan Commission meeting to order. Here it's Monday, July 26th at 7 o'clock. We'll start with our roll call.
Chair Goforth.
Present.
Mr. Holmberg.
Here.
Mr. DePula.
Here.
Mr. Stein. Here. Ms. Fox.
Here.
Mr. Holmquist.
Here.
Alder Moore and Ms. Fallett are both excused.
Okay. Did everyone get a chance to see the minutes? All right. Can any edits or corrections on the minutes? Can I get a motion to approve those?
I'll move approval.
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved. And number 4, any appearances tonight? All right, looks like none. No unfinished business, so we're already down to item 6. Knocking them out here. The first item, A, is a public hearing on request by Menards, Inc. for approval of a zoning permit for a building addition at 6401 Copps Avenue, case number 2-017-2021. Doug, would you like to kick this off and provide some background?
I think if we may, could the applicant maybe present their case?
Absolutely.
Good evening, everybody. Tyler Edwards from Menards here. We've spent probably the last 5 years expanding every single Menards store across the country in one way or another. A lot of it had to do with warehouse storage space. Some of it had to do with yard gates and online order pickup. You probably noticed people are ordering stuff online. It's a little bit harder at Menards because we sell big stuff. So you can now order whatever you want to buy at Menards online. They stock and store it in the back of the store, and then you go around and pick it up and load it in your car, just like you would at a grocery store or any other store where you're doing online pickup today. One of the challenges at this store is that we took an old building a lot of years ago and retrofitted it to be a Menards and have continuously expanded and modified that footprint and that building to stay in that location. So if you look at the site plan or the aerial, you will see a old lower roof building with a big tall Menards kind of around the outside of that. You notice it inside the store too. So what we're doing now is the what I'll call the back overhang of that original building. It's kind of a tin shed, if you will, lack of a better word. It needs to be a little bit bigger to accommodate our online order pickup process. So what we want to do is take the existing tin shed down, and then we want to rebuild it a little bit wider, a little bit taller, so it fits the racking system that every other store has for this online order pickup program. So that way you go to the order entrance lane at the gate, you scan your barcode, it notifies the people in the back, you drive around, they have your order, you pick up and you leave. The gate already has 3 doors, so there's really only a change in signage that we need to do. So overall, it's pretty minor in terms of the overall, what you see from the outside. Inside the yard, that area will then be enclosed, just like the garden center side. Because it's in a building, there's no outward facing lights, there's no noise. All this traffic is actually going to the store today. We already have an online order pickup program. All these vehicles and trucks use the gate. This just makes it a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier for everybody to use.
All right. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
And we appreciate you driving. I heard you drove down from Eau Claire. So.
Yes, this is my first meeting. I was so excited to not be on Zoom.
Yeah.
I was like, let's do it.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, Doug, can I turn it over to you?
Yes, thank you. So I did receive some public comments. This was included. This was uploaded to the meeting packet that is on the website. The first one was from Alice Hansen of 119 Chateau Lane. Sorry, they were against the application. They had a couple concerns here. The first being the nighttime light pollution, with concern about how the proposal may impact that or potentially address those concerns. Question about the traffic as well. What is anticipated? How will the routes be directed? There was also a comment about previous toxic chemical release at other facilities, concern if the addition would potentially have any components of that, and really just emphasizing they did not want to see the business expanded, that it already, in their opinion, occupies an excessive space. Another one came through from Joe Anderson of 121 Chateau Lane. A concern here was the site lighting at night again. They're across the street in the condos just there, and there was concern about potential light trespass across Femrite Drive from the addition towards the condos. Also a comment of just the number of applications in the area. A couple items have come through Plan Commission within the last 12 months or so, and so that was also mentioned. And then there was another comment here from Kay and Paul Ketterer of 103 Chateau Lane. Again, they were opposing the request. They were not in favor of big box type stores, prefer smaller hardware stores. They had concern about traffic, again on Femrite Drive, the semis coming in for deliveries, concern that the addition may increase traffic and customers, and again, the noise potentially from any construction as well was of concern. And there are actually two different mailings that were received, both included in the packet from the same couple there at 103 Chateau. Thank you.
Okay. Tyler, would you like to address any of those concerns?
Close the public hearing first and discuss.
Should I close the public hearing?
If there's
Okay.
nobody else that wants to speak.
Okay, excellent. Okay, then we'll close the public hearing, and Tyler, you can field some of those questions for
Sure,
us.
no problem. I'll start with lighting because that seems to be one of the most pressing ones for every project we do. Every single one of our stores operates at 0-foot candle past the property line. Just by rule, it's probably your ordinance as well. We're certainly compliant with that. We do have it's a 14-foot screening fence in existence along the north and the west side facing the road, public road. That's staying in place. So that also helps block any noise and light pollution for what you can see. The new overhang area doesn't have the traditional box lights on the outside facing into the pavement. It has some lights underneath the canopy because there's a 4-foot wide outdoor storage rack on the exterior wall of that, and that lights that. But that is not exposed. There's actually, this is the roof of the canopy. There's actually a little shelter, so they're underneath the shelter. So that's lighting. I think we have that covered. Now traffic, I think as I said before, there's no new traffic. This isn't a new program. We're not adding deliveries. We're not adding order pickups. Everyone can do this today. We just want clear signage, a easy to use program, a spot for people to go. And we want this store to be consistent with every other store in terms of what we offer. That's how we've survived so long, by investing and upgrading in every location regardless of its age. So like I said, there's no change in terms of traffic. I think those are the two problems or comments that I can address, unless there's ones that you heard you want me to talk about.
Well, should we, do any commissioners have comments? Do you want to, Brian, do you have any comments or anything to discuss?
Yeah, you want to go over the staff report first?
I can
Oh,
do it.
okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Not a problem.
Staff report.
So just as a overview here, the proposal for the canopy, it would be replacing a portion of the existing canopy. It's about 5,300 square feet of additional building footprint that is proposed here, and also as mentioned, a redirection in terms of the flow within the yard itself, the traffic flow, but no additional changes proposed to that entry canopy on the north side there. So looking at the zoning and land use, the property is located within the CDD. the Community Design District. A zoning permit's required due to the building expansion proposed on the site. Plan Commission reviews zoning permits for this district. The comprehensive land use plan, land use section designates this as a commercial use in both existing and future land use maps. In terms of the addition, as I said, 5,300 square feet, and just about a 1.5 foot addition in terms of height as well. The parking, no proposed changes. As mentioned, it may actually assist parking given the traffic flow and facilitating order pickup. The materials will be very similar to the existing structure, emerald green with orange accents as part of the signage, which is the next item. Lighting has been discussed here. I may, as a change to the lighting, as a change to the staff report, may suggest if the commission so chooses, maybe an administrative approval of any exterior lighting, a photometric plan that was not included within the packet. Stormwater and engineering, they were shared with the city's consulting engineer. Again, because it's already over an impervious surface, it was not of concern. Plans were shared with city department heads, and no comments were received. So with that, staff recommends approval of the zoning permit with the finding of fact and conditions of approval as suggested in the staff report.
Okay, excellent. Okay, Brian, any
Yeah.
comments or thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think this is a good project. It supports what I think a lot of businesses that have shifted, being able to have kind of an easy flow for online pickup, and I think it's an appropriate spot in that back. I don't see any of the concerns with additional traffic. The traffic exists right now. Having people not use Fabrite, that's a difficult kind of piece. Most of the people are going to access the store however they access the store based on where they're traveling from. I was curious about the other clear span bridge that's being included. Can you speak to that just a little bit?
I can. Yes, so that is a separate application we're going to make. Probably the easiest way to explain it. I'll summarize it. The stream and the environmental corridor are established. We've had some congestion as the outside yard and warehouse gets bigger. Our intent is to submit a subsequent or follow-up application for a clear span bridge to match what's there. Essentially, on the existing pavement, we have the supports. We span the bridge. That way the DNR is covered, that we're not impacting any of the environmental features underneath, and we still solve our traffic problem. We're still surveying the stream and checking in with the environmental consultants to make sure we cover all bases. So that'll be the next time I'm here.
And is some of that given this addition pushes the building further into the drive aisle area right now?
Yes.
And so that turn and getting through would be a little bit trickier, so you'll be able to go straight across the bridge then, rather than trying to navigate that tight turn.
The bridge should make it a little bit easier, but we made sure if we never put the bridge in, it'll still
Go
forever.
Okay. Yeah, other than that, I think it's a good project. I don't have any other concerns.
Okay, thank you. Susan?
Yeah, I don't have any concerns either. When I drove out there today, I thought you're not even going to see this from the road, so I don't see any change. And a lot of the traffic into Menards comes off of Broadway too. I mean, when I go there, I come off of Femrite, but yeah, I mean, if it's more convenient, you might get a few more customers, but I wouldn't see that impacting traffic. So the only question I had too was about the bridge, and you just explained that. Although it wasn't clear, the bridge that's there now, do full-size cars actually go on that? I just walked down, but okay,
Yes.
I wasn't,
Yes.
so.
Even semi-delivery trucks.
Okay,
cross
can,
that.
okay. So that, it would be a very similar thing.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense, and, yeah, no concerns.
All right, thank you. And Patrick?
Again, nothing to add. I think it totally fits with zoning. It's fine.
Okay. And Rob?
Yeah, I don't know a lot to add. I think the concerns that were read by the citizens, I think getting the notice saying there's going to be an expansion is a little misleading. This, to me, is kind of a renovation with slightly bigger yeah, I have no problem with it.
Okay, and Chris?
I think it's a fine use. I would, if you could come back up, when I drove by, it does look like you have a light on the corner of the existing lean-to that shines right towards the residential property, and it's not shielded.
Probably true.
Yeah, it's hanging right on the corner
And it
of
probably
that.
goes right through that fenced gate.
The
too.
gate, yes. So I would suggest we have a condition talking about the lighting and that we review it. I suspect it's something we'd leave for staff approval. If you had an issue, then bring it back here. But I believe the light they're talking about, I think really they'll shine right at them. And we do have an ordinance for shielded lighting, so I think with this addition, you could address that.
Absolutely.
So we don't have anything shining on the residential. Do you know, does that building have a Knox box?
It should.
It should,
The
right?
gates should, yes.
It should, but
Yes.
do you know that it
I don't
does?
know that for
Okay,
sure.
so I suggest we just have another condition, making sure there's a Knox box there, and we
Sure.
coordinate that with the emergency services. And I think, again, it's perfectly fine use. I think it makes sense, it makes it easier for their customers. Totally looking support.
All right. Okay, so then can I get a motion to approve this?
I'll move approval, modify the finding of fact to say that the proposed addition is for storage and not additional retail sales. As such, it doesn't require additional parking, and end it there. Condition 1 and 2 as written by staff. Condition 3, that we review and upgrade as needed any lighting, especially facing the residential area, to shielded lighting with approval by staff. And number 4, to confirm that there's a Knox box on the building. And number 5, that this does not include any approvals for the proposed bridge.
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion passes. Excellent. Okay, and so then we'll move on to the public hearing on request by Menard for new signage at 6401 Cops Avenue, case number S0142021. Tyler.
So with our order pickup edition and the gate that I mentioned previously, there's 3 lanes today. Right now, 1 is an entrance and 2 are exits. For whatever reason, that's how it worked 30 plus years ago when we put the store in. Now what will happen is the northernmost entrance, the entrance today closest to the road, forget the name, will be the order pickup entrance. And there'll be a order pickup sign on top of that with a little orange background so you know exactly what you're doing. The middle lane will be the traditional entrance lane. Say you buy a washing machine at the store, you got to go back and pick it up. It'll also be for truck deliveries. And then the lane closest to the store will be the exit lane. And then on the back of the new overhang, there's another order pickup sign with an orange background, so you know exactly where to go. And those are the new signs.
All right. Okay, and Doug, do you have?
I can do that
Sorry.
consideration.
Okay, once again, anyone else want to speak on that? Okay, we'll close that public hearing and move to consideration of action on request by Menards, and I'll move that over to Doug.
Thank you. So again, just running through the materials that were included in the staff report. For this one, I did include a couple existing site condition photographs just for reference. The materials also show where things are being replaced. Quite a lot of the signage proposed, certainly on the 3-lane entrance exit, is actually a replacement of signage rather than addition. So there's a few pieces. The on-site directional signage, which would be on the canopy, directing folks to how to enter, exit the yard. There's also the warning sign just above the entry door there, and that's sort of a piece for discussion here. I believe the application shows 1 sign. This actually has 2, maybe a little bit larger. In speaking with the applicant, he mentioned that this is something that has been added across all of the Menards stores. They just really wanted to permit it and make sure that it was up to code. It does include health and safety and warnings, so it does serve a purpose, but I recommend the Commission discuss that. And then the second sort of component of this signage application is the two wall signs on the western face of the new addition, both for order pickup. And so those are both non-illuminated signs, about 62 square feet, 63 square feet in total. As mentioned, the on-site directional signs do differ from the signage code at this point, both in their allowable square footage, but also their mounting height. It is the staff recommendation, though, that this is the appropriate location for them on top of the canopy. And as such, staff recommendation is approval with the one finding of fact and 3 conditions of approval as listed in the staff report. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, we'll move to commissioner discussion. Rob, do you want to start?
Sure. In general, like on a lot of these larger projects, this seems to be in scale with what the building is. It's a big box building. It's mostly replacement. So in general, I don't really have any issue with the proposed signage as shown.
Okay. Patrick?
I would echo those sentiments. I don't have any issues with it at all.
Okay. Chris?
Looks fine.
All right. And Susan?
No concerns, looks appropriate to me.
Okay. And Brian?
Just one point of clarification, make sure I understand it right. The warning sign right now, you're saying there's 2 separate signs?
Yes.
It's just being replaced by one solid sign?
I would look for clarification on that from the applicant. It appeared that the top sign with more of the text was included in the application, but the bottom one with the yard entrance and some more detail, I didn't see that, so it may just be a case of revising the materials to include square footage appropriate to that. It looks in the materials to just be
Just the one sign? And getting rid of the...
That's what our current prototype.
Yeah.
We have one YouTube watcher.
And we can
I'm
hear
sure,
you if
so-
you're up there.
Not that quiet. What's on the plan is what our current prototype is. We've always had these, we've just never got them permitted because they're just kind of off the wall legal warnings. Some cities started not to like that, so we started adding them to all of our plans in the last, actually, couple of months.
Well, what's in here is going to show less than what's on this sign. So if we approve it, it's the bottom half of the sign that says yard entrance, and I can't read what's below it. That isn't on this one. So I would be fine if we did some type of sign square footage for that area, but we probably should put something in. Which right now, I think you have 16 square feet. Doug, that's based on...
That was on the submitted materials. I did put a suggested condition that the applicant apply for permits for both of those 2 signs, or if the commission's comfortable with the existing signage, effectively an application that reflects those 2 rather than as submitted.
Is it possible to go that route?
That's the recommendation right now. Sounds
Okay,
like.
I just wanted to ask
Yeah.
for that because now in my head I'm like, gosh, do we still have those? Did we not put it on the
Yeah.
plan? I don't want to have to come back for one little sign like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's on for approved by city staff.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. All right. Yeah, I think I appreciate the investment. It's cleaning it up. It's modernizing it. So, so then, all in favor of? Oh, yes. Sorry. Can I get a motion to approve their signage plan?
I'll move approval with recommendations as outlined by staff.
And second?
Second.
Okay. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Motion passes. Congratulations, and thanks again for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, then we're going to move on to item E, which is the public hearing on request by Madison Mobile Pressure Washing LLC for approval of a zoning permit to allow for the sale of used cars at 925 East Broadway, case number 2018-2021. Is there someone here to discuss that? All right. Yep, come on up to the mic, and then it's being recorded, so we'll be able to hear you that way.
Yeah, there might be somebody listening, and they can only hear you if you're on there.
And introduce yourself and tell us a little about your project.
Hi, I'm Christine Gravy. In 2006, two of my sons bought Rocky's Custom Detailing from the West Side, and my one son, Stephen, also bought Madison Mobile. And then we were on the West Side for about 10 years or so. We started in 2006. And then about 8 or 9 years ago, my son, Stephen, has a house. The homestead is 5314 Healy Lane. So we kind of wanted to stay in, and I lived on Winnequa Road for 7 years, so we kind of wanted to keep our business in Monona. And so we rented the shop, and right now we're in the process of buying the building. So we want to try to grow our business more. Through the winter, it's a little harder. We do mobile detailing, and we still detail. I don't know if anybody's ever seen our shop, but we get fire engines in there, 40-foot campers. We clean anything and everything. We go up pressure wash buildings, whatever. And we just feel that to be able to get maybe up to 5 cars, and so that might help us with our business, help grow our business a little more for the winter also, and keep our guys on. We were blessed last year with COVID. We stayed fairly busy because we sanitized vehicles. But it's winter can be very lean and mean. Mm-hmm. So we thought, well, with all the space that we have inside and out, that it would be very non-intrusive on the side of the building to park a couple of the cars. We care about the integrity of our business, so we're not going to buy junkers and put them out there. That's certainly not our goal. So we were hoping that we don't have to change anything in the building, we don't have to change anything with parking. We don't have a sign up front. Maybe someday I'll be back here for that. But there's really nothing, traffic-wise, we have 2 different driveways, and with the minimal cars that we have, I don't see that there would be much of a traffic change. And we're surrounded by Menards back wall, Ellie's Cafe in front of us, and then the other buildings behind us.
Okay. All right. Is anyone else here wants to discuss or talk about that project for the hearing?
Mom got elected.
All right. We'll close the public hearing, and then I'll ask Doug if he has any information on his staff report for us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christine.
So I can just run through the staff report. Again, this property is zoned Community Design District. Zoning permits required due to the expansion of the business use and type. Again, the Plan Commission reviews those applications. The 2016 Comprehensive Plan land use describes this as commercial use in both the future land use and current maps. The proposed use appears to be complementary to the business that exists, and given the minimal volume, would remain a secondary use. There are no changes proposed to the site, design or circulation. The existing access door to the north, which is close to the proposed location for the parking. When I was on site last week, I was assured that would not be blocking access. The vehicles typically come in on the east face, and it's really just that for ventilation and for the cross breeze. The landscaping, just mentioned there that it could do with a little bit of a cleanup there, and just recommend that it be regularly maintained. Parking, it appears again that there's ample parking for the site, up to 5 cars being proposed. It would be closest to the office location on the northern end of the building, but there appears to be ample even with the vehicles, both commercial vehicles as well as customers. It appears appropriate. Again, no signage was recommended or requested as part of this. The operating hours would remain the same, and the number of employees would remain consistent. Also of note, no repairs will be performed on the cars on site. They plan to use local businesses to perform that maintenance. And the advertisement of the cars is typically going to be through the website with no, given the frontage, limited frontage on Broadway, but also just the location of the cars. Again, in conversation with the applicant, that was discussed that it would be on the website, with that being the primary business. So the commission should discuss the application. I did include a potential approval with a couple recommended conditions if the commission so wishes. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Doug. All right. We'll move to discussion. Let's see. Well, Chris, you want to start?
Okay. Cars for sale are a sore subject in Monona. Well, I'm just going to be honest. Brian, you were here last time we approved one, and it was a lot of consternation. You have to go back in our history, and Monona Drive used to be littered with friends' cars for sale, junkers here. We used to have a salvage yard on Broadway, which people thought this isn't what we want for the entrance to our community. And it became very sensitive as far as having a lot of cars. And it seems like a lot of times those cars ended up being left right out front and in different states of disrepair, different things put on them, and it became a thorn in the side of Monona. So Monona did a lot to play down the cars being for sale. I don't recall if you were on council at the time, but I know we passed an ordinance that disallowed it, period, on Monona Drive. You could have your own car. If you own the property, you can have your own car there, but you can't put a buddies or consignment or anything else for sale because it was so rampant on Monona Drive. I don't recall if it included Broadway, but I know Broadway was a major concern. So I'm setting the table. It's just so you know, it's not a small thing for Monona to say, yeah, you can sell some cars. So having said that, where you're proposing them, if you don't need that space, it is a great spot because it's screened from the road. Now, when I say that, you need one more thing screened from the road. That'd be that dumpster that sits out front. They have to be screened or out of view. And where you have it right now, you can see it driving right down Broadway. If you look at your neighbor, the Ellie's Restaurant, they've got a little enclosure around theirs. I know when that project was built, they actually said, we're going to put it back here, so it's between the building and that tall retaining wall. No one can see it. So no screening was required for the dumpster there. It's convenient for them to pick it up where you're at, I know that, but it goes back to our zoning ordinance and just trying to keep things looking good. So when I was there, there's a lot of cars. I mean, do you have enough parking to be able to have 5 more cars on site, plus all your employees, plus your cars that you're detailing, et cetera? Because one thing that would be required is that everything's in its designated spots, so we don't start getting overflows and cars double stacked. Even if there are employees in front, it starts looking like that car lot again. I'm sorry? If you need to speak, yes, absolutely.
This is where you get a little bit of a workout going back and forth.
Or you can stay.
Yeah, you could stay.
Okay, as far as the I understand about the used car thing, I get the feeling sometimes when I see some dealerships also, or just cars everywhere. First of all, we're gonna make sure we have a business that we have integrity with, and we don't want to draw anything less than what would make us proud to put out there. We picked the side of the wall. We did not know about the dumpster,
Sure.
so we'll get that fixed.
Most people don't.
But
it's not something you're born with.
yeah. But as far as the cars, we would keep them on the side. We're not going to put them out front. I know when we see cars sometimes parked out front, we'll call because the property that we're buying, of course, is not only our shop, but where the Cenex gas pumps are. So that's all going to be our property.
Could I ask then, on our information we have, where the red line is, that
Well,
all the way back here?
all the way to Menards wall.
Okay, so Slavinsky
Yes, Mike.
owns all that.
Yes, Mike does.
Yeah. And
Not for much longer, hopefully.
okay, for those that
Yeah.
can't see.
And we have parking spots for our employees there, the restaurant where the gas pumps are. Okay, so if you're looking, at the shop where the gas pumps are, there's plenty of
we'd like,
parking
we could
for
put
the
it on overhead.
employees.
Could we get, not the overhead, I did it again. Could we get the document reader, please?
Nice catch.
Yes, I would. Usually Brian or Sue or someone catches.
On the microfiche, we'll put it on the microfiche.
Yes, I have it on.
As far as the cleanup, may I keep going?
Yeah, we can still
The landlord is working on that. He he was told that we couldn't mow the grass on the top because it was protected or something, and then not to do anything with the lower area where the reeds are. So he got an engineer, and then he got a landscape company that's supposed to be coming out to clean this stuff up.
Where all the cattails are, those are the infiltration areas. When that was built, that was for the water quality. And they're low, they hold water, and cattails generally like to grow where water is sitting. I don't know if they're functioning or not, but best way we could tell is drive by in the rain, see if it's overflowing or if it's going in. My guess is it's working, but probably hasn't been looked at for quite a few years. But it's a great area for absorbing everything. Oh, beautiful, thank you. I wasn't even paying attention. Okay, so now everyone on TV can hear too if you want to point out where you're talking about for your different parking areas.
As far as
You just the way you can see it there. If
the
you,
cars,
Yep.
that the used
Yep.
cars will be here.
okay,
And then
You-
right over here is where Ellie's employees park and we can park
on your property.
on our property. Yep.
So you feel you have enough parking that if you
Oh, yes.
dedicate these 5,
Some of the vehicles that are Madison Mobile's vehicles, and my son just needs to take some home.
can
He's
I
got a
ask,
lot.
down here right now, as there today, you had a couple cars parked.
I
headed
park
in.
there. Yeah,
Okay.
I park there and
So if
Steve
you-
parks there.
So it would seem to make sense, perhaps some cars for sale, you can almost get 3 right there, and then you'd have these parking stalls where you could get in and out with your own cars. Just saying.
Say that one more time.
Well, where you're headed in, if you took a couple of these for sale cars and backed them in there, I think you could get 3 wide in there, couldn't you?
No, we have a handicap parking spot right over there
Okay,
in the middle.
okay. So you could get at least 2. All I'm
Wide.
thinking is-
They'll all be single against the wall.
Okay, all right. You don't feel that'll block your parking where you park?
No, the double would.
Okay.
Yeah, but no. And I don't have to park there. I
Understood.
just do.
So I wasn't aware that you're buying all of this, so you have those
Yeah,
parking
it's all
stalls.
one
And that
piece
makes some
property.
more sense, because when I was there today, you were kind of, I thought, overflowing into there, but actually you're using your own property.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay? That helps as far as having it. I think the question is 5 appropriate? We're pretty stingy with cars for sale, but it appears that they can handle 5 here without being a,
We use Handles and Broadway Tire. Those are our go-to places for all our vehicles.
there will be conditions that they can't be in disrepair if they're going to be out there. If you're working on them or somebody's, they need to be in your shop or over at Handles. Because,
Understood.
again, that's where things got out of
Yeah.
hand with trucks or cars up on jacks and being worked on. It's just, it's not the look that Monona expects.
No. I've lived here. and
Good.
Yes, no, that's why we chose Monona.
I lost, it's in here. Okay, we can go back to, I have all my notes here. So I don't know if Doug shared the DiMaggio approval with you, but it said a lot of things, which this would say that you can't have attention getters, car lots, when they put those floppy things in big, those
we
just aren't
understand.
allowed. You're allowed to put some signage in the windows, like, which are required, I believe. I believe they're required when you have cars for sale.
That's my next project is to.
Yeah, I think with your license, I think it requires that. And those certainly are fine, but it's like not the big banners and everything on the cars. I did notice while I'm there, hey, did you approve that sign, that monument sign there?
I would have to check the file.
It's over 8 foot tall and our maximum is 5. The sign, the board you have that faces out to Broadway,
Okay.
you know what I'm talking about.
I do, I
Yeah,
do.
it's like 8 foot in there and it
Okay.
needs to be a max of 5 foot.
Okay.
And really, I think the sign will fit, it's just you've got supports that are sticking out quite a ways. And quite honestly, it'll be just as visible unless you park a car in front of it. But if you look up and down Broadway, Monona Drive, there aren't signs over 5 foot tall.
Okay.
Again, I'm sure you're not aware of that, but that's part of the ordinance.
Yep, nope, that's
Okay.
fine.
We do require that you own the cars you have for sale there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so again, it's not like on Monona Drive where you have a buddy's car out there with a flag on it and trying to let them sell. So actually, it's good for you, that condition, because then you don't have people asking you for that. Say, I can't. It's not part of my approval. we will likely require that all the vehicles you have for sale are in designated areas. And for these 5, it'd be on the north side of the building, and then all your other cars that, when you're in there, that you have enough stalls for it all. But it sounds like that's not a problem for you if you own that entire area. Okay? That's all I have.
All right.
Thank you.
I can sit?
No, there's
You'll probably get
there's a
more.
whole
You'll
lineup
probably
of
get
Well, I'll
us
just
here.
stay here then, okay. All right, that's fine.
Patrick?
Yeah, I just wanted to, so this will be granted, if it's granted, it'll be granted conditionally with no more than 5 cars.
Correct.
Okay, that's the plan. And then if sometime in the future, there's no plan for additional at
No.
some point, okay.
No.
It's strictly complementary. Okay. And I know we talked about it being a secondary use and a complementary use, so it's not going to add any traffic to the location at all, really. I don't really have a problem with it, with those conditions.
Okay, Rob?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add. Glad to hear you're purchasing that and you'll own your property. That's great. I think it's a good way to supplement your winters, especially since you have such a screen. It's really tucked away in the most literal sense. And as long as you adhere to conditions, I think it's totally fine, and I'm in support of that.
Okay, and Brian?
Yeah, I was here for the last car issue, and I think what's unique about this application is you are actually better positioned for where they're located on your lot and not be tempted to get the eye catchers, where if the location was closer to Broadway, it's the natural, like, boy, they're not moving, I wonder if we can do something. And so I think you're in a really good position that they'd be a dedicated spot and you would utilize other avenues to get interested parties. So I think it's a great idea.
And Susan?
Yeah, I think it sounds fine too, and I've given all the comments already. My only concern when I drove over there was whether you could really fit 5 cars along that wall.
Well, we can, and if necessary, we could add concrete and go back farther too, so.
Yeah, I tried to like pull my car in right like facing the building and turning around. You know, it just seemed a little tight if you have cars. I guess you don't have cars coming out that other end. I mean, I mean, as long as you feel like you could fit them there, I think it's a fine plan. That's my only concern.
Chris?
Just to respond to that was a drive aisle that was built to use that north door. But if they're using this for staging cars, we don't require, for an area like that where they're stored, we don't require the same dimensions as we would for a parking lot where people are coming and going all day long. So for something like that, although it's small, it's almost the perfect situation because they can work on getting 1 or 2 cars moved around to get one in and out if they need to. So yes, I saw the same thing, but I think they can do it. They can park there, even if it's a little bit of an angle, and then get them in and out. It's just not what we'd say is okay for customers coming and parking.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thanks. No, I think it seems like a good plan to me.
All right. Yeah, I was going to say the angled parking might be the ticket to, getting in and out of there easily. All right. Can I get a motion to approve this?
I'll move approval with the conditions written by staff, and add the condition to no more than 5 cars on a lot for sale at any given time without planning commission approval, and all cars shall be parked on the north side of the building. Add condition 4 that all cars parked outside shall be fully functional. Condition 5 that no signs other than the required stickers in the windows and on the rear view mirror shall be allowed, and this includes attention getters, banners, etc. Number 6, all cars shall be owned by the applicant. In other words, no consignment sales. Number 7, all vehicles parked outside must be in designated stalls, or for these vehicles on the north side of the building. And number 8, that the monument signs brought into compliance and that 9 that the dumpsters either screened or moved between the north side of the building and the retaining wall. Somewhere will be naturally screened.
Okay, and can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Discussion?
Oh, sorry.
That's a lot of conditions. We're really sensitive to used cars.
Doesn't seem like a lot.
And I'm not trying to pile on. Is there something there that doesn't make sense or that you
No.
need clarification on?
No?
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All doable.
All
Excellent.
right.
Be happy
Thanks.
to.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Congratulations,
It'll be
Christine.
a slow process.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot to do, but.
Yeah.
You've got a good spot for it. We just need to
Oh,
make
okay.
sure we keep our arms around it. Thank you.
And thank you for supporting other local businesses. That's a nice,
Yeah.
nice synergy there.
Yeah, went to Tully's before we got.
Excellent.
It's actually my granddaughter's grandma, grandpa.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
A long history.
excellent. All right, well, thank you and congratulations.
Let me know when you get a 78 Trans Am.
Really?
Some classic cars would be nice. I'm in the market for one as well.
Feel free to come in. Your vehicle's clean there.
All right, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item G, public hearing on request by Balancing Meridians, represented by Capital City Signs for new signage at 136 Owen Road, case number S013-2021. Is there someone available to speak?
I'm Sheila Williams from Capital City Sign Company, and I'm working with Balancing Meridians to identify their business. They're at 136 Owen, as you mentioned. It's the post office building. There aren't a lot of signs in that building to compare to. The post office has a sign, and I think there's one other business. They're all just individual, non-illuminated letters, just kind of to show which spot to pull up to when you're visiting your business. This one will be formed plastic letters, just kind of a little dimension to them. They'll be painted a custom color to match our logo, and then there'll be our circular logo component that's got a custom print on it, and that'll just be a trimmed piece of acrylic with a full color logo on it. It's going to be centered in the above the door area and up and down in the large fascia area. So I think it'll fit right in with the rest of what is there to match.
All right. Okay, is there anyone else here to speak on this? Okay, then we can close the public hearing and we'll move on to Doug with a staff report.
Thank you. So the business here is located within the retail business district. Businesses within that district are allowed 1 square foot of signage for every 1 foot of building's facade length, up to 150 square feet. The building facade here is 25 feet in width, which is verified on site, allowing the applicant 25 square feet of signage, which is exactly what is proposed, and thus it meets the sign standards. As mentioned, there's not many signs to compare it to here in the complex, but it is somewhat similar in style to the existing USPS signage. Just a note as well, a zoning permit was not required for this space due to it being vacant for less than 6 months, and also the use, the hours, the type of business being very similar towards that. So typically these would have zoning permit and signage, but that's the reason why this didn't come through. So with that, staff recommendation is approval. Again, just one note to add here, still working on the landlord approval for this signage, so I suggest any condition incorporate that as a condition of approval.
I did receive the landlord approval this afternoon, so we're all set there.
Excellent. Okay, we'll move to commission discussion. How about we'll start with Susan?
I don't have any concerns. I think it looks great. It looks appropriate for the building and it's nice looking sign. I think it adds.
Okay, and Rob?
Looks good.
And Patrick?
Best looking sign on the building.
Yeah. And Brian?
Yeah, looks fine. No concerns.
And Chris?
Looks good. Individual letters, just the way we love it.
Yeah, all
Looks
right.
good.
Okay, excellent. If there's no other discussion, can I get a motion to approve?
Approval as recommended by staff.
And a second?
Second.
Second by Patrick.
Discussion? Should we add that we want verification of landlord approval submitted? It's as a condition.
Yeah, sure, we could.
Yeah, we don't have it.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can have it, so sure, that's fine.
All right. And all in favor then?
Aye.
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Excellent. Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, and then we'll move to item 7, reports of staff and commission members. And a staff report regarding the status of development project proposals and the economic development update.
Thank you. So just as an update to the commission, both myself and the city administrator will be meeting with the developer on the Monona Garden site this week to just discuss next steps with that. It had previously been to the CDA for discussion, and so just talking about next steps, most likely that will involve a finalization of the parking numbers and to really flesh that out, the ground floor use, how that potentially moves forward. It's closely tied with the CDA discussion. So probably looking for another pre-hearing discussion, but progressing towards more of a final design for that. I can move on to upcoming items.
Yes, please do.
So upcoming item, at the August 9th meeting, I did receive documentation of a CSM request. This would be 6501 Monona Drive, which is the former bank space at the corner of West Broadway, Monona Drive. Potential request there to subdivide that into 2 different parcels, 1 access drive, but 2 separate buildings. There would be a zoning permit request that would sort of accompany that, but they wanted to, the civil engineers wanted to get the CSM discussion, begin that pre-hearing process. At that point, most likely that the zoning permit request coming in August 23rd.
Question. Would they go through with the CSM if they didn't have an approved project?
Most likely not. They have, I believe they have a tenant looking for the primary space of the 2. I've expressed that this most likely would be pre-hearings for both.
Right. And the reason I say that is, for example, if they go in and get that CSM approved and that doesn't come through and they have a larger project, you can't build a building across the property line. So
Yes.
then they'd have to go through just to take it right back apart. So I
Definitely.
just want to make sure we're not spinning our wheels.
Yes, and they're aware of that, and they did, included in the materials was at least a site plan of the proposed layout as to how that would work out. Given the location, there's a few design pieces they're still working through for the exteriors, so I've expressed that they should really run concurrently, but I think the engineers wanted to get in, at least for a pre-hearing earlier.
Well, because it takes a lot longer for the CSM. It has to go through us, then Public Works, then
Correct.
back to us, then the City Council for 2 readings. So I mean, I understand it's a longer process. They want to have it in the queue, but I suspect we wouldn't, as a municipality, want to have a final approval, or they wouldn't as an owner, until they knew they had a project that required the independent lots.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And that's the only item that we have at this point.
Right.
Do we know for the Monona Garden property, have they settled on a rental or ownership model?
That will also be part of that discussion. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And how about, as a couple of things that we've approved and haven't seen kind of developing, do you want to update us on the massage studio on Northern Monona Drive?
Yes, I believe that's 4405 Monona Drive. The use, it was in the retail business district, a single-family home that was converted to a business. That is in the works right now, working through building permits. There were quite a few ADA changes to be made to get that up to code for that space. So working with the applicant, they're getting pretty close on the build-out. So I think things are progressing. We had a couple discussions both from zoning and building, but it is moving forward. So pleased to see that still progressing as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And then how about the indoor dog pool?
Yeah.
Pause. I know people are waiting for that. People are excited about this. There's a lot of talk in the community about that one.
So that one, I did reach out to both the landlord. We had a discussion pretty quickly after the meeting with the conditions of approval. They were shared with them. If you remember, there were certain facade improvements that were required. So a bit of that was a discussion, as well as the signage I don't believe was approved. There was talk of the monument sign potentially assisting with the landscaping. So I'd spoken to them about those elements. It's all gone quiet. I did speak to or leave a few messages and try and contact the potential tenants. I have not heard back yet at this point. So just waiting to see. I did notice when I was down at Menards, the for lease sign has been removed pretty recently. So I don't know if that's an update or a progression, but I have not heard anything at this point.
Okay, great. Thanks for those updates.
Absolutely.
So item 3, any updates or discussion on diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts? And that's open to anyone that has anything to discuss.
So this is a new item on our agenda. I wonder if you can share how this item might be updated through our agenda. I anticipate like this is going to be a recurring item.
Yeah.
And so it might help us understand what was the council's vision of adding this item.
Thanks, Brian. This was basically an add-on, I think, almost to every committee, just as a standing item for discussion in case anyone has questions or has taken action on anything that kind of falls into these categories. So kind of an open-ended discussion. If you have any updates or anything along those lines. Okay, maybe next time. And then we'll move on to our upcoming meetings, August 9th and August 23rd. Boy, we are almost at the end of summer, folks. It's hard to believe, but and I think that takes us to the very end. Plan Commission requests for information from staff. Chris?
I'll just respond to item 3, the update discussion on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Since it's the first time it's on our agenda, I assumed we were going to be getting the updates and we were going to be told what's happening in the city and how the committee is doing and how it's going to apply to us. I thought we were going to be getting the updates. So it's just nice. I agree with Brian's question. It's nice to know why it's on there and what it's about.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get some updates on what's been happening, because I know the city's hired some consultants and done a few things.
Yeah.
So.
I can give you a quick update in that the Ad Hoc Diversity Committee will be meeting for the first time on July 29th.
So there are no updates yet.
No, not yet. That's it.
That's the update.
That's the big update.
Okay.
How large is the committee?
It's 9 members.
Okay.
9 members on that. So we just were emailed the agenda today, and I think people are looking forward to that starting. It's a 6-month term, basically, and so we should be wrapped up by the holidays on that and see where that takes us.
Perfect. Thank you. We look forward to your report on how that's going.
It will be written, and I'll have a presentation, PowerPoint for you. How about that? No, I won't. I'm joking.
And for the ones you asked Doug about, I'm pleased to hear they might be going forward. They were both very ambitious.
Yeah.
The massage, the improvements she had to put into that building to be able to have one room of massage were expensive. So I suspect that's what's held it up when she realized what she'd be spending, because it was pretty extravagant what the architect had drawn up. Nice, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with the dog wash. I mean, that's a lot of improvements. I don't think our requirement to plant a couple more bushes is the overriding thing. I think we asked for a little landscaping and eventually some paint, but the improvements inside to create those pools and everything, again, that's a lot of money. So
Absolutely.
I understand why it's taking some time. It's good to see that they took the for lease off. That might mean they're thinking about doing something.
Yeah. And not to mention the supply chain challenges that they might all be facing.
Correct. And then in addition, that's why I think we had those letters tonight. They said, we have all these things happening here. Well, we've had a lot of approvals on FemRite, but no activity.
Yep.
And I don't think the general public always understands this, because it's been approved that it's not necessarily a certainty. So, they're getting these letters every month and thinking what's going on in our community.
Yes. How about for Floor and Decor. Are they moved in?
They are working on the demolition at this
Oh,
point.
they are, okay.
They were moving pretty quickly on those building permits and approvals, and so I think they had a pretty quick turnaround. I haven't seen any site improvements. I was just over that a couple days ago. Exterior has not changed, but certainly there were crews inside working on that. I know there were changes to be made to the mezzanine. I assume once it's cleared out, it'll be a pretty quick build out back in, just given the style of interior. But I think they're looking to move pretty quickly on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then can I inquire too on the now vacant Hobby Lobby space, if you've heard anything from that owner and if there's any traction there? Or anything?
Nothing official at this point. They did apply for the temporary signage to put that up, so there's a small banner sign at this point informing them of the new location on the west side, but I have not heard anything formal. Again, if it's a potential retail use, it can probably, depending on the vacancy period, most likely without zoning approval, but I'll be keeping an eye on that just as to when that clock as well. Yeah.
Thanks, Doug.
I did have one other thing, if I may. The August 9th, we will have speaking of presentations, we will have a presentation from the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission. They have the regional development framework that they've been working on, and that's something I came into that discussion as well, and so they're doing a roadshow of that, and so I invited them to the Planning Commission meeting. I'll be sharing that with council members as well so that they can follow along as well. I know they've been to a few surrounding municipalities already, so they'll be presenting that and sort of, I think it'll be specific to Monona, but also then the region as well. So
Excellent.
Look forward to that.
Yeah, that'll be great. All right, anything else? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move adjournment.
And a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Of course not. All right, thank you, everybody.
Nice crisp meeting.
Yeah.